Viewers, for the first time ever, a BJP constitutional post holder has thrown weight behind the movement to reclaim the contested sites of Kashi and Mathura. The official sanction for the Mandir Vapsi, so to speak, of Mathura and Kashi has come from no less than the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath. Speaking in the Uttar Pradesh Assembly, Yogi Adityanath invoked what he termed was injustice against Ayodhya to make a case for the reclamation of both the Gyanvapi mosque site in Kashi and the Krishna Janambhoomi in Mathura. Listen as Yogi Adityanath set the terms.
अयोध्या के साथ अन्याय हुआ और महोदय, जब मैं अन्याय की बात करता हूं तो हमें 5000 वर्ष पुरानी बात भी याद आने लगती है। उस समय पांडवों के साथ भी अन्याय हुआ था और उस समय कृष्ण गए थे कौरवों के पास। उन्होंने भी कहा था बस दे दो केवल 5 ग्राम, रखो अपनी धरती तमाम, हम वही खुशी से खाएंगे, परिजन पर हंसी न उठाएंगे। लेकिन दुर्योधन वह भी दे न सका, आशीष समाज की ले न सका। यहां तक कि उसने भी भगवान श्री कृष्ण को बंधक बनाने का कुत्सित प्रयास किया। यही तो हुआ था अयोध्या के साथ, और यही हुआ काशी के साथ, और यही हुआ था मथुरा के साथ भी। हमने यही तो कहा, उस समय 5 गांव मांगे थे। भाई, भगवान कृष्ण ने तो पहले कहा, जब वो समझौता कराने के लिए गए थे, महाभारत का युद्ध टालने के लिए गए थे, कि देना हो तो आधा दो, लेकिन इसमें भी यदि बाधा है तो दे दो केवल 5 ग्राम। लेकिन वो 5 गांव, लेकिन यहां तो ये समाज सैकड़ों वर्षों से यहां की आस्था केवल 3 के लिए बात कर रही है। 3 के लिए। वो 3 के लिए भी इसलिए वे विशिष्ट स्थल हैं। देखिए, अयोध्या का उत्सव लोगों ने देखा तो नंदी बाबा ने भी कहा, भाई हम काहे इंतजार करें। उन्होंने भी इंतजार किए बगैर रात्रि में बैरिकेड तोड़वा डाले, और हमारे कृष्ण कन्हैया कहां मानने वाले हैं।
Yogi's endorsement has immediately sparked a debate, with many pointing out that the Chief Minister seems to have disregarded the provisions of the Places of Worship Act 1991 enacted by the P.V. Narasimha Rao-led Congress government. Now viewers, as you know, this act bars any bid to alter the status of a place of worship as it stood. And let me underline this, as it stood on 15th August 1947. In fact, in the Ayodhya judgment of 2019, the Chief Justice of India then led 5-judge bench had upheld the sanctity of the Places of Worship Act of 1991. Here's what the Supreme Court had ruled. Quote, Parliament determined that independence from colonial rule furnishes a constitutional basis for healing the injustices of the past by providing the confidence to every religious community that their places of worship will be preserved, their character will not be altered. The state has, by enacting the law, enforced a constitutional commitment and operationalized its constitutional obligations to uphold the equality of all religions and secularism. The Places of Worship Act imposes a non-derogable obligation towards enforcing our commitment to secularism under the Indian Constitution, unquote. This is what the Supreme Court had pointed out in the Ayodhya judgment. The Places of Worship Act of 1991, of course, has been challenged in the Supreme Court. The principal grouse expressed by challengers is that it imposes a totally arbitrary curb upon citizens to approach the courts to seek redressal, which is a basic constitutional right. The hearings have set the stage for a protracted battle as the centre, despite repeated reminders from the Supreme Court, has thus far refused to clear its stand on the legality of the law. Now, viewers, let me stack up for you what the objections are and what the defence that has come from those who want the Act to stay have put forth. The objections: arbitrary and irrational is the first because it imposes a retrospective cut-off date. Remember, the Act was in 1991, but it dates back to 1947. The other side says no, it ensures communal harmony and prohibits new disputes. Another objection that has come to it is that it ensures communal harmony and prohibits new disputes, but there's an unjustified bar on remedies for encroachment. The other side says no, legislative intervention upholds constitutional values. The challengers say that it blocks judicial redressal on historical injustices. The side that wants it to be upheld says manifests secular values and prohibits retrogression. That means the tendency to go back into history and open and excavate wounds of the past. Another objection that is raised against the Places of Worship Act is that it condones barbaric acts of invaders. The other side says no, it enforces constitutional obligation of religious equality. Another objection is that it's passed without consulting affected communities. Those who stand in defense of it says no, it guarantees the preservation of places of worship for all faiths. But viewers, coming back to the original point, the UP Chief Minister's ringing endorsement for the Hindu side's claim over Kashi and Mathura raises some fundamental questions. The first and obvious one, viewers, is whether Yogi Adityanath has used his office to articulate now firmly the BJP's position, and does Yogi's declaration undermine the spirit of the Places of Worship Act of 1991, as some people are saying? Another question: can we forget that the SC had upheld the sanctity of the Worship Act in the Ayodhya judgment? Yet more questions flow. BJP may have drawn the roadmap, but will the Supreme Court block the course with Worship Act of 1991? And then does Yogi's backing hint at a move by the NDA to perhaps even strike down the Places of Worship Act 1991? Of course, viewers, those on the BJP side will argue that Yogi has only appealed to the good sense of justice of the Muslim side, saying that, look, concede just these 2 or 3 sites because they matter to us. They're of civilizational importance. On the other hand, viewers, people will say, will Yogi's endorsement encourage more claims on disputed sites by other groups? So viewers, there are several of these questions. Let's open them up. Let's engage with this particular topic. Remember, in 1990, Modi and Advani took a Yatratra from Somnath to Ayodhya, pressing for the reclamation of the Ram Janambhoomi in Ayodhya. In 2024, 3 decades later, Yogi is following in footsteps. What do we make of all of this? Let's ask some fundamental questions. Let's go straight across to our guest panel. As always, viewers, needs no introduction. Let me begin with you, Waris Pathan Saab. We heard Mr. Yogi Adityanath. Of course, he's speaking in the assembly. He's speaking as the Chief Minister. This is the first time we have heard anyone holding a constitutional post in Parliament, representing his government, voicing support for these 2 sites. So clearly, there is ringing endorsement from the BJP for this. So I'm asking you, in the context of that, what Yogi has posited, this demand, for example, seems to be in a civilizational context. He is speaking of wrongs not committed today, but to deny Hindus their identity or degrade their identity, to be more specific, as it happened in the past. And he says that he is only asking for Kashi and Mathura because they are of not just symbolic, but inherently civilizational, spiritual importance for Hindus. So in a sense, he's appealing to your good side and saying, look, let's concede here and we'll end this matter. We can go on and live our lives in peace and harmony and amity.
Yeah. Well, Rahul, good evening to you and to my fellow co-panelist.
Good evening, sir.
Yogi has totally failed as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. He has taken the oath on the Constitution and become the Chief Minister, and he's standing on the floor of the Assembly and he's making such kind of statements, very well knowing that the matter is pending. It is sub judice before the honorable courts, which are giving a day-to-day hearing on the Kashi Mathura issue. This clearly shows that he does not believe the Constitution, he does not believe the courts, he does not believe in the democracy or the secularism and pluralism of our great country. Secondly, places of worship Act 1991 is still into existence. He knows that. That act clearly says that in the commentary you said that those things, those structures, monuments, religious places prior to 15 August 1947, they are as it is. You cannot change the nature and character of these places. Then why to make such kind of places? Why to go beyond what you want to say? And why you want to create an atmosphere of 1992, Babri era? You are the Chief Minister, and Supreme Court also has clearly said why it should have quoted the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court said that a demolition of the Babri mosque was a criminal act. Why does he not quote that? That those who were arrested, earlier, subsequently they were released, but no appeal was filed by the BJP. But no, he wants to polarize the situation prior to the 2024 elections, and that is why Yogi's all policies have failed. His Thok Dalunga policy, his bulldozer policies were criticized. Today he does not have answer to be given to what the state is asking for. People are asking, sir, Yogi ji, our Uttar Pradesh has become the capital of crime. Every day crime is taking place. No answer for him. Thok Dalunga policy. No process of law followed. Bulldozer policy, it does not give notice, no process of law followed.
So you're saying,
it clearly shows that Uttar Pradesh is going in a very, very wrong way, not following the constitution. And I would like the courts to take note of it, that pending the matter which is being heard, the Chief Minister of the particular state is giving such kind of state.
Okay, so let me bring in Kaushal Mishra ji, the Bharatiya Janata Party, to respond to these charges that are being made by Waris Pathan. Waris Pathan says that you know that this matter is sub judice. Why go out there and whip up sentiments, etc., give an official seal to this demand for reclamation when you know it's sensitive?
Shiv, first of all, Ram to you as well as my all fellow panelists. First, Mr. Waris Pathan said about what is the state of our Uttar Pradesh. Now, state of Uttar Pradesh becomes a champion state in the country from the Bimaru state, which was previously it is the first state to have the rapid rail. It is the first state to implement all the central government policy in number one in whole of the country. Now the whole Uttar Pradesh is developing, and it will become the first trillion economy of the country. So it's about the development, how the UP is growing, and now see the development of Ayodhya, see the development of the Kashi, which was discriminated because of communal reasons, because of many other reasons. Why the other political party is not developing the Ayodhya? Why the other political parties or previous government are not developing the Mathura is still in the same phase. So that if we see the development, right now the development is going along with the cultural development as well as development with the temple. Previously there was little development without temples, right now development with the temple. Means in Hindi we call मंदिर सहित विकास और मंदिर रहित विकास. पहले सरकारें करती थी मंदिर रहित विकास, और उन मंदिर जिन जगह मंदिर थे उसको डिस्क्रिमिनेट करती थी. दैट इज व्हाई अयोध्या, काशी एंड मथुरा, ऑल द थ्री cities are discriminated, and that is why they are in worse position in Uttar Pradesh. Now because of the cultural development, because of the tourism, and because of best policies of the Yogi ji and double engine government, these three cities are growing up. Now come to the your commentary about the religious worship and religious act. Rahul, first tell me, our constitution provide justice which was done in history, means our constitution is capable of correcting the historical injustices, and that is why the reservation is provided by our constitutional makers. So that if in one way we are correcting the historical injustices by compensating in the form of reservation, those injustices which was done by the Mughals, Akrantas, invader, why cannot they be corrected right now? This is one. Second, our constitution basic structure is that reviewability, judicial scrutiny is the basic structure of our constitution. How any act can withdraw that act, and that act is still under the challenge in the Supreme Court. So legally that is very open fact that it can be challenged and it can be discussed. And Yogi is very clear that he mentioned the Mahabharat Katha, that Kaurav or Pandav, he maintained the sanctity that Hindu Muslims are like brothers. He maintained the brotherhood, and that is why he mentioned that Krishna visited to the Duryodhan and asked for some part, 5 villages. That is how he said that the 3 major cities, 3 religious cities who form the heart of Hindi land, who form the heart of India, who form the heart of Bharat, means Mathura, Kashi and Ayodhya. These are the basically faith place of whole country.
So you are appealing to
still developing.
Okay, so you are appealing to a sense of enlightened justice, spirit of accommodation, and hoping that the Muslim side hears your prayer. That's what you're trying to essentially say. Okay, let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, does Mr. Yogi's declaration undermine the spirit, forget the letter right now, but the spirit of the Placer Worship Act of 1991? And how do you respond to Waris Pathan and Kamru Chaudhary, who will speak and say that this is an attempt at perhaps pitting Hindus against Muslims, whipping up communal passions because there is nothing really to show on the ground?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I congratulate Yogi Adityanath for saying what he said. He had the courage to say so, and for all those, in fact, Rahul, remember we had a discussion about what Jay Sai said, that we will start the process of reclaiming all 40,000. And Yogi Adityanath has, if not used those exact phrases that Sai and Vishnu have used, he has said the same thing. And I congratulate him for it, because justice cannot be applied preferentially to just 3 places. And he said, initially we wanted just 3, Lord Krishna wanted just 5 villages, and it wasn't given. And then, you know what happened? Everything that was unjust, justice was done. So I congratulate him on that remark, and especially I think the BJP spokesperson has said it, but that has unfortunately not been the official position of the BJP. Had it been, they would have revoked this evil Places of Worship Act in 2014 itself. The fact that they haven't yet done so, and they're possibly waiting for the Supreme Court or any other court to do so, I think it's unfortunate. They should have done it. They should not have waited for the court to do it, because to me, one of the most barbaric legislations ever enacted in India is the 1991 Places of Worship Act. And on top of that, as I don't know, something, I don't know what to say, in 2019, you know, the virtue signaling Supreme Court in its Ayodhya judgment willfully ratified this act. Obligates maintaining all religious places as they were on August 15th, 1947. So historical injustices cannot be addressed unless Parliament overrides it. Now you tell me, Rahul, how can a legal recourse to correct historical injustices be denied in a democracy? And I am at pains to emphasize this. This I have never felt is as a Hindu issue. I, as a Darwinian atheist, demand the abrogation of this Place of Worship Act. And Rahul, if a mosque had been demolished by a Hindu king and a temple built on it, I, a kafir and an atheist for whom Islam sanctions death penalty, would have fought for the rights of Muslims to legally get back their mosque. To show you the extent very briefly of the conceit, let me read out to you the passage from the 2019 Ayodhya judgment where Milords exult and willfully ratified this act. Quote, the Places of Worship Act imposes a bar on the institution of fresh suits or legal proceedings. The only exception other than Babri Masjid Ram Janambhoomi case is in the case of suits, appeals or proceedings pending at the commencement of the law on the ground that conversion of a place of worship had taken place after 15th August 1947. The Place of Worship Act is thus a legislative intervention which preserves non-retrogression as an essential feature of our secular values. The Place of Worship Act is intrinsically related to the obligations of a secular state. It reflects the commitment of India to the equality of all religions. Above all, the Places of Worship Act is an affirmation of the solemn duty which was cast upon the state to preserve and protect the equality of all faiths as an essential constitutional value, a norm which has the status of being a basic feature of the constitution. There is a purpose underlying the enactment of the Place of Worship Act. The law speaks to our history and to the future of the nation, unquote. I am sorry. At the risk of going to facing the criminal contempt again, this law and the ratification airbrushes our history and it destroys our future, destroys it.
Okay, destroys our future. Of course, it's not the act which is right now being discussed. It is Yogi Adityanath's endorsement of the movement to reclaim these places of worship when the courts are going over the fine print of the various petitions that are pending before it, and whether that is contemptuous or whether that is an expression which the BJP will perhaps now adopt through a legislative process. I don't know. We don't know, viewers. The BJP through the NDA has not responded to many Supreme Court notices seeking a response from them on whether they believe that the Place of Worship Act is illegal or not. So that is also another fact. But that's a matter for a slightly different story. I just want to come back to you, Mr. Kamru Chaudhary. You represent the Congress Party. You've stood for elections for the Congress Party. You know of the history of Ayodhya, where the Congress Party went ahead and opened the locks, etc., and started the entire, as you know, in some ways, the process really of the Hindu side reclaiming and perhaps even bringing down the Babri Masjid. So I understand, speaking from experience, you must be really worried because you really unleashed a set of catastrophic events. But I want to ask you today, Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, it's not as if Yogi Adityanath is saying that we are not going to listen to the courts, that we are going to resort to ultra-virus means, that we are going to take the law into our own hands. He, in fact, is saying that, look, at the end of the day, we are only going to seek what we think is intrinsic to our civilization, which helps us also preserve our identity. And the BJP and the NDA haven't even moved court or stood up in parliament where they enjoy a majority, and you keep accusing them of ramrodding various legislations down the opposition's throat. They haven't come there and said, okay, we are tearing up, like Rahul Gandhi would tear up the legislation and say, now we are going to revoke it. They haven't done so. So why are you whipping up this fear psychosis? They are all committed to going through the courts.
Rahul, there's some valid reason for this fear psychosis that you just mentioned, Let me cite a few examples why this mindset is developed among the Muslim minority of the country. You see, the around 500 to 600 year old Akhunji Mosque in Mehrauli, Dehradun was demolished. On what grounds? On encroachment. What does that mean? What does that suggest even? A 500 to 600 year old mosque being demolished on the grounds of encroachment. From what? No answer. Ultimately, the Delhi High Court had to step in to order a status quo on that area. Now, these are flashpoints that are developing in the people's mind. And the most important thing today, as a secular politician, I'm aghast at the statement of an elected chief minister bound by the constitution when he stands up in the assembly and he threatens the Muslim community in inequable words, I can tell you, He is invoking the Mahabharata and says that the Muslims of this country, please remember, अगर 3 हमको नहीं देते हो वापस तो कौरवों का जैसा हाल होगा महाभारत में जैसा हुआ था. Ultimately the substance is this. So do you as an honest journalist condemn such words from an elected chief minister? No, you will not. Because what Yogi Adityanath wanted was 3 temples to be given back to the Hindus. While Anand Ranganathan says out here, he's also a right-wing influencer. He's got lots of followers among India. And there are people watching him who idolize him. And he says that we want 40,000 of our temples back. Now, Rahul, where does it end? The Congress party in 1993 bought an ordinance to make an amicable settlement of the Ram Mandir issue. And it was the same Bharatiya Janata Party which refused to abide by that ordinance. Now, what happened later was a due process law. Crores of Muslims of the country accepted it, that it's a decision of the Supreme Court, and we accepted it with all humbleness. Now, when you have a majoritarian government at the center, at the state, and you have people trying to manipulate the court into judgments, there the problem lies, which leads to apprehension with the minority population. Let me cite you the example of the Gyanvapi Mosque. What happened on the 17th of January? There was one order for appointment of the receiver. This same order was again corrected by a retiring judge who retired the next day on the 31st of January to include that worship be performed on the Takana of the Gyanvapi. What happened then? The entire character of that Gyanvapi mosque changed. Now, when you seek justice for the
how
Hindus,
does the character change?
Wait. I'm not getting into this debate.
One second. You've started the debate, so I'll have to ask you. First of all, my first question was whether the Chief Minister had undermined the spirit of the Placer Worship Act. I'm asking that question because I'm honest. Otherwise, I would have said that, look, he's expressing the sentiments of the majority and they must be respected. So, Kamru Chaudhary, first give credit where it's due. You may not have a response to the larger questions of the Congress's role, etc., etc. That's fine. I'm not even going there. But fundamentally, I'm asking you, if no one from government, including the Chief Minister, have come out there and said, take the law into your hands or hit the streets like some people have from the other side, then what is there to fear? You talk about some other mosque, some other reasons for why it was being demolished and how a stay came. There are many Hindu temples that have been pulled down for encroachment, etc., etc. We know. So let's not, bring in stuff that doesn't really fit the debate. I'm only asking you. I asked you fundamentally. You say that, there's an attempt to manipulate the court. That's a very serious, very, very serious accusation to make. In the same breath, you say that due process of law is also being followed. Who's allowing that due process of law to be followed? It's the majority community who's sitting by patiently and saying, no, let the courts. Yeah, Dr. Ranganathan has raised his hand. Yes, you want to respond?
I can't for the life of me understand when one of the holiest of places, the Krishna Janamsthan, and one of the most authoritative biographies of Aurangzeb mentions that in January 1670, Aurangzeb ordered the demolition of the Keshavdev temple in Mathura. Worse, he ordered that the idols be broken, taken to the Jahanara mosque in Agra and scattered under the steps so that they would be trodden upon by millions of feet as they walked in to offer the namaz. Yep. Is this not humiliation? How on earth does Kamru Zaman Chaudhary says that his Hindu brothers should face this humiliation decades after decades, centuries after centuries?
Okay,
that's why I asked him, if the most holiest of Muslim shrine was demolished like this, would he be all right? Will he be okay? Accept this humiliation? What nonsense are we talking about?
Okay, one second. Let him respond. Kamru Chaudhary.
Anand, I don't know what you were drunk on tonight. Because the simple reason, what Aurangzeb did, what other Mughal invaders did, what Britishers did, how is a Muslim like Waris Pathan or me responsible for their barbarism? How are we? हमारा 500 साल तक हम उस मस्जिद में नमाज पढ़ते आ रहे हैं कि आज वो मस्जिद मेरा आस्था नहीं है.
How do you have reservations?
The fundamental question that Mr. Anand you are raising, If your faith
No, one second. The state allows, no, one second. Let me just step in here. No, that is a point that Kaushal Mishra Sahab had also made. That the state allows.
He's all right, Rahul, for the historical injustices to be removed as far as comes to reservations. What is the fault of the current person who is the UC general category facing reservations? According to your logic,
Let me elaborate on that point. I think Kaushal Mishra ji made that point. Now, viewers, there are a large number of political parties that want to forget about caste, but they want to give reservations along religious lines. Yes. Minorities should be given reservations. Now, why? Because historically, in this country, before 47, we were told that if India were to be governed by the Congress party, which is really packed with a lot of Hindus, Muslims will not get a fair deal. That they will be ignored, that they will be sidelined, marginalized, etc. That thesis has continued in to secure justice. So, how can you have apples and oranges, and which law? Now, I'm not going down that route. We are talking really about form tonight, viewers. So, let me come back to the BJP spokesperson. The question is, what if, Kaushal Mishra ji, the court says, sorry, Placer Worship Act is paramount, we cannot strike it down. The court has already said something, as you know, and I've quoted that in the Ayodhya judgment. Then what happens? Will the BJP then perhaps move the Lok Sabha? Will you introduce a bill to override this Placer Worship Act? What will you do? Or will a Mahabharat happen? As the analyst Kamru Zaman Chaudhary apprehends?
Shiv, it is a hypothetical question, but yes, our Ambedkar Sahab has shown the way. He said that our constitution is a live document and it will change as per the need and choices of the citizen of the country. So, whatever the citizen decide, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha will follow the same thing. Whatever the court decide, but the law making is the power of our parliament.
Well, let me very bluntly put it, viewers. If you go by this logic, you see, viewers, it's very, very simple. That there are issues which certain faiths, etc., have problems with. Let's say homosexuality, for example, viewers, or gender issues. Now, what if tomorrow, in the name of secularism, and it has happened at least with the, with regards to human rights, the the Supreme Court decided to give the homosexual community the absolute right to cohabitate without the fear of prosecution from the law. Now, we know that certain religions have a problem with that kind of adjustment. The point that is being made is that the law evolves to reflect the mores of the time, hopefully progressive ones. So, viewers, the Constitution is a living document. Ambedkar Sahab said that. We all know this. And therefore, tomorrow, if the courts move in a particular direction, the government might exercise its right to go ahead and bring in changes. Yes, doctor, 1 second. Yeah.
Yes. Rahul, very briefly.
Rahul,
please ask Kamru Chaudhary ji, who doesn't want Supreme Court's decisions to be overturned. Has not the Congress yesterday said that it will overturn the 50% reservation limit that has been put by the Supreme Court? When it comes to them, then Shah Bano they will overturn. Bank nationalization they will overturn. Privy purses they will overturn. Everything they will overturn. SC/ST Act.
What about the Election Commission of Election Commission ordinance?
Okay.
The Supreme Court judgment.
Okay, viewers. Look, this matter we can endlessly debate, and we have done so. We know that there is a lot of hypocrisy, sometimes on both sides. I mean, I like the way, the confidence with which the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh has come out and at least spelled out his stand. But then, viewers, the centre doesn't spell out its stand in the Supreme Court, which I find a little odd. Because we know that there is the Placer Worship Act, and at least as of today, it stands as a towering obstacle in the way of realizing any move towards reclaiming or correcting historical injustices, as some people in the Hindu community put it. So viewers, think about that. There is also hypocrisy staring us in the face. Yogi Adityanath, right or wrongly, has put his point forward. The debate has begun. We are going to move on because viewers, there's been a very significant development. Here in the Union capital, a Delhi court has directed Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to appear on February 17 and explain why he has skipped 5 summons from the Enforcement Directorate, which is investigating alleged money laundering linked to the liquor excise policy. Now viewers, this is alleged to be a scam case in the national capital. Mr. Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party has said it is studying the court order and it will take action as per law. Party sources have told various media organizations, and of course some of the spokespersons of the AAP have even come out and said, we will tell the court how the summons are illegal. The Central Probe Agency last week filed a fresh complaint against Mr. Kejriwal over his non-compliance. It said he, as a public servant, could not ignore the orders of a government agency. Viewers, the Aam Aadmi Party boss snubbed the Enforcement Directorate's 5th call on February 2. However, viewers, there is a reason why there is a lens on Mr. Kejriwal. The Enforcement Directorate wants to question him. The first is because ED claims video call between the Chief Minister and accused in this alleged scam called Samir Mahendru. Another reason is that another accused, Dinesh Arora, claimed that he met Arvind Kejriwal, and which seemed to suggest that Mr. Kejriwal knew about certain policies, decisions that were taken, which cost the exchequer. The ED has claimed the accused Vijay Nair was acting at the Chief Minister's behest and interceding and promising all sorts of favors. The Deputy Chief Minister, Sisodia, his ex-PA claimed the policy report was submitted at the Chief Minister's home, so there's no way that he would not have realized that there were tweaks made to favor certain individuals, bidders, for example, in the policy. The ED claims that the YRCP MP, MS Reddy, says that Mr. Kejriwal welcomed him into the Delhi liquor trade. There are many reasons the ED has cited. Believes that the proceeds of crime went to AAP and the party could itself be made an accused. The AAP has accused the ED of acting in a vengeful manner at the behest of its political masters, the implication being the NDA government. But the ED has repeatedly pointed out that the summons aren't illegal, as it has been empowered by the highest court in the land to issue summons, carry out arrests, search premises of suspects and seize what it deems are the proceeds of crime. Indeed, viewers, the Supreme Court did come out and upheld the ED's powers for arrests, summons, searches, seizures, stringent bail conditions and reversal of burden of proof. It upheld constitutional validity of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The SC clarified that supplying an enforcement case information report is not even mandatory to the accused or to somebody who is being questioned, which is something that Arvind Kejriwal says is a matter of right for him to have. The Supreme Court has upheld the ED's power to provisionally attach proceedings of crime, highlighting safeguards. There are other parts of the Enforcement Directorate code, viewers, that has also been upheld. For example, Section 24, putting the onus on the accused to prove the proceeds of crime are untainted. So viewers, let's open this up, because obviously the debate is raging. The BJP on one side, through its spokespeople, is attacking Mr. Kejriwal, saying that, look, you should have submitted yourself. Now the court is not giving you relief. On the other side, of course, viewers, the Aam Aadmi Party says that this is all now an orchestrated witch hunt. And this is not even an issue to contend with, because it's not as if the court has said, Mr. Kejriwal, go and produce yourself before the Enforcement Directorate. It is in fact only seeking responses from Mr. Kejriwal as to why he feels he should not submit himself to the jurisdiction of the Enforcement Directorate. So let's open this up very quickly. I want to first begin with Aam Aadmi Party sympathizer. He's here with us. And I want to ask Mr. Joshi, Would you not see this as a setback now? And shouldn't Mr. Kejriwal just submit himself for questioning? If he believes that his case is strong, I'm sure he'll be able to prove it. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute, sir.
Good evening to you and all
Good
my
evening.
fellow panelists.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
And when it comes to Mr. Kejriwal, I think he is well within his rights to demand from the enforcement directorate in what capacity he is being summoned. That is what he has been asking repeatedly. That for what kind of questions do I need to prepare? So I don't think it's asking too much that whether he is asked in the capacity of a party president or a party convener or as a chief minister or as a witness, in what capacity the enforcement directorate wants him.
No, but the Supreme Court, sir, has clarified that supplying an enforcement case information report is not mandatory. In that, of course, you would know the reasons. So, if it's not mandatory, let's go by the law of the land. Mr. Kejriwal says that he believes in the Constitution. The Constitution has been upheld or interpreted by the Supreme Court to mean that the ED has all right to summon someone without providing the case information report.
I did listen to the introductory remarks of yours before we begin this program. Now, Mr. Kejriwal knows very, very well that right now it is a political witch hunt which has been unleashed through the tools of opposition demolition, as I call them, ED and CBI, and that is why he is replying politically to this particular witch hunt. Because it is an election year, we are all in an year which is going to be.
No, but you didn't answer my question, Mr. Joshi. You said that Mr. Kejriwal wants to know.
So, Rahulji, I'm
no,
not
so
a lawyer.
that's why we are speaking in a moral verse. We are not speaking in a legal verse at all. I'm speaking and I'm also wanting to ask you, Mr. Soni. It's funny that the AAP has championed the ED when it has gone after the TMC and when it's gone after the Congress in Punjab. So clearly at that time the ED becomes a very credible organization for the Aam Aadmi Party.
Never. I don't think so that the Aam Aadmi Party has ever said that the ED is a credible organization and ED.
Sir, I can show you. If you want, if you're really pushing me, then I can show you. I can show you the newspaper headlines quoting the Aam Aadmi Party.
Rahulji, what I'm saying that they may have remarked upon certain cases in particular, but that does not,
No, what do you mean? That it's okay when when the shoe is on the other foot.
That's what I mean. Am I not being clear in my words? I'm just speaking what I mean.
Achha.
Okay, so and that is precisely what I mean. So all I'm saying that it is a political witch hunt according to the Aam Aadmi Party and Mr. Kejriwal, and he is giving a political reply. He is taking a stance. He is taking a non-cooperative stance for sure.
Non-cooperative, Gandhian.
Oh yes, of course. That is what
Gandhian stance. Okay, viewers, the Constitution can go to, whatever. Well, and we will be Gandhian. Okay, let me bring in Shazia Ilmi. What are you doing, Shazia Ilmi? You are unleashing the enforcement directorate. You are unleashing the enforcement directorate. You have armed it. You have given it these massive blood-drawing fangs, and they are sinking their teeth into the throats of the opposition. You've throttled the opposition. You have reduced them. You've emasculated them, really. This is not right. You're murdering the Constitution. Please respond to this charge.
So, Rahul, first of all, I would like to say that whatever the preceding spokesperson spoke about and the points that he mentioned, I would like to give a rebuttal to each one of them. He said that in what capacity is Arvind Kejriwal being summoned? Now, the ED is not mandated to give the reasons, and whether he goes as a convener of AAP or as a chief minister or as a regular citizen of the country does not matter, and ED does not have to specify that. The fact of the matter is that there were 5 summons and he has made excuses. First of all, it was Madhya Pradesh elections, then it was Vipassana, third and fourth summons, some other excuse was given, and now ED literally had to go to court. Now the words that I will read out to you as to what the court has said are coming from a court, not from ED, not from CBI, or supposedly the political master, the BJP or any party. I cannot speak for the ED. I cannot speak for the CBI. I can speak for my party. Now, there is a case, a solid case in place because of which Manish Sisodia has been in jail for the longest period. Whether it is a Sessions Court or the High Court or even the Supreme Court, the highest court, he has been denied bail. Clearly that means something. Not just that, their other colleague Sanjay Singh has also been found that there is enough material and evidence on him to implicate him and to put him behind bars so that he does not influence the case any further. Now, because of all the reasons that you mentioned at the beginning of the program, whether it's about Vijay Nair or the phone call,
no, but
or the
Shazia Elmi, you see, the next question will be, how is it that the ED only lands up at the door of the opposition?
On whose watch?
No, the following question has to be also answered.
That's another question, and which is something that we asked, I've been asked this 1,000 times.
Yeah, so can you answer?
It does not take us away from the merits or demerits of the case. It does not take us away. The fact of the matter is, there was, whether it's Jalbot scam or excise policy, we are talking about that scam. The fact of the matter is that this is there.
Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, how is a member of the public tonight supposed to look upon this? Is he supposed to say, oh bechara Kejriwal, ab sab court mein bhi setting ho gayi hai, God knows what, you know? What is he supposed to respond? How is he going to make sense of what is happening?
No, Rahul, first of all, let me congratulate you, or in fact commiserate with my good friend Joshi ji, because he was all prepared with his argument saying that, look, Kejriwal has not even been given the reasons why he has been summoned, not once but twice but 5 times. You, through your primer, and dare I say what I said 3 days ago, blunting Tehseen's often quoted argument that ED has become more draconian. The fact of the matter is that ED is working under the specific approval of all its directions by the Supreme Court. And as you rightly said, each and every summons that ED has made is under the approval of the directions that ED gives by the Supreme Court. So the fact of the matter is, yes, it is not the same Aam Aadmi Party that arrested an MLA, Congress MLA, 3 months ago in a case that the Supreme Court had itself squashed, and the Congress MLA was arrested based on investigations carried out by the same ED. And then what did the AAP say? Let the law take its own course. We believe the AD. And here, it is not willing to make the law take its own course. Be that as it may, very briefly, just a minute. Let me give you the facts and the facts alone. And this is from the Supreme Court order. Quote, number 1. The excess amount of 7% commission earned by the wholesale distributors of 338 crores constitute an offence as defined under Section 7 of the POC Act. These are proceeds of crime. The figure cannot be disputed or challenged. The new excise policy was meant to give windfall gains to select few wholesale distributors who in turn had agreed to give kickbacks and bribes. Number 2, VAT and excise duty were payable separately. However, under the new policy, the VAT was reduced to a mere 1%. 3, Manish Sisodia was unable to provide any rational explanation for increasing the commission 5 to 12%. These are valid reasons. And if the ED wants to summon Mr. Kejriwal, I don't see any reason why an Aam Aadmi, Kejriwal, I hope he still believes he's an Aam Aadmi. Mr. Joshi can clarify. I don't believe why should there be any reason why an Aam Aadmi should not at least go and tell and clarify what his position is.
Especially when it is not a banana republic. Especially when it's not a banana republic. Viewers, you will remember that. I'm going now across to Kamru Chaudhary. Kamru Chaudhary Saab, look, some of your own Delhi leaders like Mr. Markan and others have said it's about time that Kejriwal answers for this liquor scam, alleged liquor scam. I'm sure as someone who wants the Congress to come back to power, you will support today what the ED is doing.
Now, first and foremost, if there has been a summon from the ED, Arvind Kejriwal must have complied with that without the court's intervention today. I hope that justice will prevail in the entire case. But having said that, the cases against Hemant Soren, cases against Arvind Kejriwal, or cases against a lot of opposition leaders, these are all, a general perception is there across the country. These are all vindictive cases. Because in the liquor policy scam also, I failed to find what is the scam all about, because there has not been a single rupee
Can I
recovered from
explain to you,
anywhere.
please, sir?
Where is the national loss? Can I, Rahul, ask you one simple question through you to the
So the
BJP?
matter, as you have said, pointed out earlier also, when it is sub judice, we should not go into these matters. So I don't know. Let us apply a even yardstick in different halves of the debate. So either we go into the merits of the case or we don't.
Already in the public domain. Let me ask one question through you to the BJP spokesperson out here. The CAG has come out with a 3,600 crore corruption case in the Bharat Mala project. When is the ED, CBI and other agencies going to investigate that?
Respond, Shazia Ilmi. Bharat Mala case.
Yes, so
Thousands of crores. Ajit
No, I
Pawar.
would-
70,000 crores. Irrigation scam.
exactly.
I didn't say
exactly.
it. The Prime
They
Minister
never-
said it.
So yes. So this is every time you find stashes and mountains of cash piled up somewhere. This is what we get. The fact of the matter is, if any of them believe that the ED or CBI is working, is slackening or cutting a lot of slack where opposition leaders are concerned, they can go to court. I am not a spokesperson for ED and CBI.
But that doesn't explain the one-sidedness. Fine, they'll go to court. They may not. It might be that they're all correct. No, I'm just saying there is a look. The statistics is what I go by. Hard facts, and the facts are not adding up.
No, why? Why do you want to?
No, why do I want
Do you
to?
know,
Because
Rahul,
that's the
all
name
of
of the
them went to
show,
court
and
together,
I
and
want
this
to
was
bring the
dismissed.
viewers closer to
No,
the
I will
truth,
talk
even if
about-
it is an inconvenient
Rahul,
one for
can I come
certain
in?
players.
Rahul,
Very
can I
quickly,
come in?
to
What I
10
was
seconds.
saying?
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, not very quickly, because I think it's important that we say this, that
running
the
out of
court
time.
has said that the prima facie offence under section 174
No, I'm not going
of
into
Indian
this.
Penal
I
Code
don't
is
want
laid
to
out
see
there,
viewers.
and that Arvind Kejriwal
This
should be
channel,
present.
this anchor, and this show has always maintained that there is a bias against the opposition when it comes to prosecuting. There are hardly any cases opened against the BJP, and the Prime Minister talked about the washing machine and he tried to defend it. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, 10 seconds and I need to take a quick break.
Yes, with your permission, can I ask a very small question to my dear friend Shazia?
No, that will now necessitate a long answer, maybe even circuitous, but I'll leave it at this. Look, viewers, we know where things stand. You are a very intelligent bunch of people who watch television, and you know exactly where things cut. I'm not saying that the ED doesn't have a strong case against these opposition leaders, but it will help if there was a little more balance in the way ED proceeded in prosecuting certain cases. I'll take a very short break, viewers.
Harsh action, according to them, against Paytm can be detrimental and have consequences over the overall fintech ecosystem. This letter has been signed by startups like Bharat Matrimony, there is Deepak Shenoy of Capital Mind, there are several other fintechs, PB Fintech, Make My Trip as well. And also, so some sort of support came in from the startup community. Also, we are now learning that VSS yesterday had an audience with the finance minister himself. He met Nirmala Sitharaman. And what we are told that the meeting lasted only 10 minutes. And the finance minister, again, this is through sources that Money Control is learning, might have asked him to take his request back to RBI. So what does this mean really? And while this entire fiasco is unfolding, most importantly, what concerns you and I is what's happening to our money and how safe is it on Paytm. Not just that, this entire episode has raised questions on the overall fintech ecosystem as well. So we thought, let's break it down, and as promised, we'll take all your questions. Now, for all those questions, the man who everybody will be waiting out for, Rohit Jain, joins us now. He's an advocate. Rohit, you've been looking at this entire fiasco quite closely. There are lots of concerns. Let me straight away go to some of the questions that have come to us. And these are, like I said, these are DMs that came to us through the course, through the night, yesterday and today. There is this particular, let me just dive in straight, Sanjeet Gaud, who says, how about Paytm postpaid? And will that work, considering now there is a sort of freeze on the other things?
Sure. I think first of all, it needs to be clarified that Paytm as an app and Paytm Bank as an entity are two different things. So look at it that there is a host of services that Paytm is providing, and some of it is linked to Paytm Bank. So had Paytm say not have the Paytm license, it can collaborate with other banks and continue to provide those services. For example, say PhonePe. So PhonePe does not have a bank of its own, but PhonePe is providing you UPI services, PhonePe is providing you an app to transfer your money, etc. So if Paytm Bank goes out of the picture, Paytm can still very well collaborate with other banks that are available and continue providing those services. And that is exactly what Paytm has clarified, that what ideally in an ideal world they would have continued providing services through their own bank. It would have reduced cost for them, it would have made commercial sense. Now since that is not there, they will have to scout for partnerships with other banks. As soon as the partnerships start getting forged, the services will continue as is.
From what we also understood was largely the implication is on the vendors, because they are the one making the payments. Your and mine is at the end of the day a wallet that can be accessed, you can still withdraw, but like you said, it can still Paytm to ease out transactions for its customers can easily tie up with other banks and make it happen. But let me take this specific question that I asked you of Sanjeet Gaud, who says, how about Paytm postpaid? So what will happen there?
So for postpaid also, now since the postpaid was more of a credit service, so since the banking regulation is not there, that service through Paytm Bank will stop. As I said, if Paytm forges alliance with another bank, through that they may continue to provide the credit service under the brand name Paytm, but the provider would be an HDFC or an ICICI, some other bank, and not the Paytm Bank, which is which has been directed to stop the services.
Got it. There's another question from Rai Vishal. I think his name is Vishal Rai _24. Thanks Vishal for your question. He says, what about mutual fund investments that are happening through Paytm? What about them?
Yes. So typically what we would do is that we would have a bank account which we would give an e-instruction that every month the SIP is getting debited for the mutual fund, or we make an investment, right? So that will get stopped. So suppose if you have 1 lakh in your Paytm Bank account, so till your SIP is within that limit, the debit will continue as is. But once that amount is exhausted, then you will have to change the bank account to some other bank. So suppose you have a mutual fund in which you have given your Paytm Bank as the main account for debit. So that will go out once the balance is exhausted. And then you will have to change the account for debit. But suppose if you have given Paytm account for receiving the proceeds of a mutual fund sale or dividend of a share, that you will continue receiving.
That you will continue receiving despite new deposits being restricted by RBI?
Yes. So you cannot transact using that account, but you can still receive your interests, you can receive your dividends, you can receive your payments, etc.
Let's just look at the timeline and how the story has unfolded. It all began on the 29th of February when the RBI imposed significant restrictions on Paytm. That meant it effectively barred it from doing 3 things. Number 1,
हम राज्यों का विकास से ही राष्ट्र का विकास कर पाएंगे। इस पे कोई विवाद नहीं हो सकता है, कोई विवाद नहीं हो सकता है। और मैं आपको विश्वास देता हूं सभापति जी, राज्य अगर 1 कदम चलता है तो 2 कदम चलने की ताकत देने के लिए मैं आज विदेशी मेहमान आते हैं तो मेरा आग्रह रहता है कि आपको एक दिन किसी राज्य में जाना चाहिए। मैं उनको लेते के जाता हूं राज्यों में ताकि उनको पता चले कि मेरा देश यानी दिल्ली नहीं है, मेरा देश चेन्नई में भी है, मेरा देश बेंगलुरु में भी है, मेरा देश हैदराबाद में भी है, मेरा देश पुरी में भी है, भुवनेश्वर में भी है, मेरा देश कलकत्ता में भी है, मेरा देश गुवाहाटी में भी है। पूरे दुनिया को मेरे देश के हर कोने का एक्सपोजर मिले, इसके लिए हम कोशिश करते हैं। वहां की सरकार का सहयोग असहयोग इसके तराजू पर नहीं तोलते हैं। एक ईमानदारी से इस देश के भविष्य के लिए पूरे विश्व मेरे भारत को जाने, इसके लिए हम इस प्रयास करते हैं। अगर देश का भी कोई कोना, देश का कोई क्षेत्र विकास से वंचित रह जाएगा तो देश विकसित नहीं हो सकता है। और इसलिए
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. The NDA government informed Parliament that a total of 344 antiquities have been returned to Bharat from other nations since 2014. Union Minister of Culture G. Kishan Reddy said that only one antiquity had been returned to Bharat during the 2004 to 2013 period, and a total of 115 antiquities were returned to Bharat in 2023 itself, and 344 have been returned since 2014. So another comparison